In this vast and often misunderstood land, a story is etched into the very fabric of the desert sands, a story that spans millennia. My name is Adil, and today we embark on an extraordinary journey through the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, not to see the gleaming towers of its modern cities, but to uncover the ancient heart that beats beneath. We will explore a complete historical overview of its most significant sites, places where spirituality, culture, and history converge in a powerful narrative. These are not merely ruins or monuments, they are living testaments to the dawn of civilizations and the birth of one of the world's great faiths. Each location we visit holds a profound significance, a unique chapter in a grand epic. From the sacred valleys where a prophet's voice first echoed, to the rock-hewn tombs of forgotten kingdoms, these sites have shaped the destiny of the Arab people, the Islamic world, and indeed, the course of human history itself. We will witness how ancient trade routes carved paths for empires and how spiritual quests forged nations. This is a land of immense spiritual gravity, a cultural crucible that has influenced the world for centuries. Our expedition will take us from the holiest cities in Islam to the silent, windswept necropolises of pre-Islamic peoples. We will trace the footsteps of pilgrims, traders, and kings, uncovering the layers of history that lie just beneath the surface. Join me as we peel back the veil of modernity and discover the soul of a nation, a journey into the deep history of Saudi Arabia, from the spiritual epicenter of Mecca to the enigmatic tombs of Medina Saleh. It is a story that deserves to be told, and one that promises to change the way we see this remarkable corner of our world. Our journey begins here, in a narrow, sandy valley surrounded by barren mountains. This is Mecca, or Makkah al-Mukarramah, Mecca the Honored. It is a place whose name resonates with over 1 billion souls across the globe. For it was in this very landscape, within the crucible of its harsh, unforgiving climate, that a story began which would alter the spiritual geography of our planet forever. This is the birthplace of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the man through whom the final divine message was revealed to humanity. The air itself seems to hum with a unique and powerful reverence. At the very center of this sacred city stands a simple cube-shaped structure, draped in black silk embroidered with gold. This is the Kaaba. It is not a grand cathedral or an ornate temple, but its significance is immeasurable. It is the Qibla, the direction to which Muslims all over the world turn in prayer, a unifying point on the globe for a global faith. Ancient traditions tell us it was first built by Abraham and his son Ishmael, a house of monotheism standing as a defiant symbol in a world then lost to polytheism. Its simplicity is its power, a focal point of pure devotion. Every year, this city witnesses one of the most remarkable gatherings of humanity on earth, the Hajj pilgrimage. Millions of people from every conceivable background, nation, and walk of life converge on this single point. They shed the markers of their worldly status, donning simple white garments, and move as one body in a series of ancient rituals. The site of the circumambulation, the Tawaf, around the Kaaba is one of the most powerful visual expressions of faith and unity our world has to offer, a swirling galaxy of human devotion. The rituals of Hajj reenact the stories of Abraham, Hagar, and Ishmael, connecting each pilgrim not just to the Prophet Muhammad, but to a lineage of prophecy that stretches back to the dawn of monotheistic belief. The running between the hills of Safa and Marwa, the symbolic stoning at Mina, the vigil on the plains of Arafat, each act is steeped in a history that is both profoundly personal and deeply communal. It is an intense, transformative experience designed to strip away the ego and foster a sense of humility and universal brotherhood. Mecca, therefore, is more than a city. It is the spiritual heart of the Islamic world, a place of origin and a final destination for the faithful. Its history is a testament to the power of a single idea, born in the starkness of the desert, to inspire and unite a vast portion of humanity. To understand Mecca is to understand a fundamental force that has shaped our shared human story for over 14 centuries, and its pull remains as strong today as it has ever been. From the birthplace of the Revelation, we travel north to a city that became its first sanctuary and stronghold. This is Medina al-Munawwara, the radiant city. If Mecca was the womb of Islam, Medina was its cradle. It was here, in the year 622 of the Common Era, that the Prophet Muhammad and his early followers sought refuge from persecution, an event so pivotal it marks the beginning of the Islamic calendar. This migration, the Hegra, was not an act of retreat, but the beginning of a new community, a new society, a new state. The city welcomed the Prophet not as a refugee, but as a leader and an arbiter. Here, in the relative peace of its date palm oases, the foundations of the first Islamic state were laid. The Constitution of Medina, a remarkable document for its time, established a framework for peaceful coexistence between the diverse communities of the city, including Muslims, Jews, and other pagan tribes. It was a blueprint for a pluralistic society, governed by principles of justice, cooperation, and mutual defense. Medina became a laboratory for a new social and political order. At the heart of this new community was the Prophet's Mosque, Al-Masjid an-Nabawi. It began as a simple structure of mud brick walls and a palm thatch roof, serving not only as a place of prayer but as a community center, a court of law, and a seat of governance. It was the nucleus around which the life of the city revolved. Today, it has grown into one of the largest and most magnificent mosques in the world, its iconic green dome marking a place of profound love and veneration for Muslims globally. Beneath that green dome lies the final resting place of the Prophet Muhammad himself, alongside his first two successors, Abu Bakr and Umar. For pilgrims, visiting this spot is an act of immense emotional and spiritual significance. It is a chance to be in the physical presence of the man they revere, to offer their salutations, and to reflect on the life and legacy of the person who brought them their faith. The atmosphere within the mosque is one of serene tranquility, a stark contrast to the dynamic energy of Mecca. Medina, then, represents the realization of the Islamic vision. It is where a persecuted spiritual movement transformed into a thriving civilization. It is a city defined not by a single monument, but by the spirit of community, learning, and peace that was established here over 1,400 years ago. It stands as a testament to the idea that faith can build not just inner conviction, but also a just and compassionate society, earning its name as the City of Light. We now move forward in time to the 18th century, to a place that speaks of power, ambition, and the forging of a nation. This is Diriyah, a city of mud brick citadels rising from the banks of Wadi Hanifa, near modern-day Riyadh. This is not just a ruin. It is the birthplace of the first Saudi state and the ancestral home of the Al Saud dynasty. Its story is one of a powerful alliance that would not only unite the tribes of Arabia, but would eventually give its name to the entire kingdom. In the mid-1700s, this region was a patchwork of competing settlements and tribal territories. It was here that two men forged a historic pact. Muhammad ibn Saud, the local ruler of Diriyah, joined forces with Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab, a religious scholar advocating a return to what he saw as the purest form of Islam. This alliance of political ambition and religious zeal proved to be a formidable force. From this small oasis town, they launched a campaign that would bring much of the Arabian Peninsula under their control. The heart of Diriyah is the Taif district, a UNESCO World Heritage site. Walking through its restored alleyways and palaces, one can feel the echoes of that past power. These labyrinthine streets, imposing watchtowers, and grand courtyards were built from the very earth they stand on. The architecture is a masterclass in Najdi design, perfectly adapted to the harsh desert climate, with thick walls for insulation and narrow lanes to provide shade. This was the center of government, the treasury, and the home of the ruling family. The Salwa Palace was the largest of these structures, the seat of the first four Saudi imams. From within these walls, they administered their rapidly expanding state, received emissaries, and planned their campaigns. The city flourished, becoming a center of trade, learning, and culture in the heart of Arabia. It was a beacon of the new political and religious ideology that was sweeping across the peninsula, a symbol of a newfound unity and purpose that had been absent for centuries. The first Saudi state was eventually crushed by the Ottoman Empire in the early 19th century, and Diriyah was left in ruins, a silent monument to a dream that was, for a time, extinguished. But the legacy of this place endured. The idea of a unified Saudi state, born in these mud brick walls, would be revived a century later by Abdulaziz ibn Saud, leading to the creation of the modern Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Diriyah, therefore, is the essential starting point for understanding the political identity of Saudi Arabia today, a symbol of resilience and national genesis. Our journey now takes a dramatic turn, delving deep into a past that predates Islam by centuries. We arrive in the breathtaking landscape of Al-Ula, a spectacular corridor of sandstone canyons and vast open deserts. This region has been a crossroads of civilizations for millennia, a place where ancient peoples left their indelible mark upon the stone. The very air here feels ancient, charged with the silent stories of forgotten empires and bustling caravan cities that once thrived along the incense trade route. For thousands of years, this oasis served as a vital way station for traders carrying precious frankincense and myrrh from southern Arabia to the markets of Egypt, Syria, and the Roman Empire. The evidence is etched into the rocks themselves, countless petroglyphs and inscriptions left by Dedonite, Lihyanite, and Thamudic peoples. These carvings depict scenes of daily life, of hunts, of worship, and of the animals that shared this land. They are a library in stone, a direct communication from the distant past. The most astonishing legacy in this region, however, belongs to the Nabateans, the same ingenious civilization that carved the city of Petra in modern-day Jordan. Here they established their southern capital, Hegra, also known as Madain Saleh, or the city of Saleh. Scattered across the landscape are more than 130 monumental tombs, their ornate facades carved directly into the colossal sandstone outcrops that rise like islands from the desert floor. Each tomb is a masterpiece of funerary architecture, a testament to the wealth and sophistication of its owner. Unlike Petra, which is hidden within a narrow side queue, the tombs of Hegra stand in the open, exposed to the vastness of the desert. This gives them a unique, haunting quality. The most famous of these is Qasr al-Farid, the Lonely Castle, a single, magnificent tomb carved from a solitary monolith. Its unfinished base gives us a fascinating insight into the Nabatean construction techniques, a project frozen in time for 2,000 years, yet its grandeur remains undiminished. Exploring Al-Ula and Hegra is like walking through an open-air museum of immense scale and beauty. It connects the Arabian Peninsula to the great empires of the ancient world and reveals a rich, complex pre-Islamic history that is only now being fully appreciated by the outside world. The silence of these canyons and the majesty of these tombs force us to contemplate the rise and fall of civilizations and the enduring power of human creativity in the face of an unforgiving yet spectacular natural world. We travel south, towards the border with Yemen, to a region whose history is as dramatic and fertile as its landscape. This is Najran, an ancient oasis that for centuries was a vibrant center of commerce and culture, positioned strategically on the incense trade route. Long before the rise of Islam, this land was home to powerful South Arabian kingdoms, and their legacy is buried just beneath the sands, waiting to tell its story. Najran's history is a complex tapestry of trade, faith, and conflict. The most significant archaeological site here is Al-Ukhdud, which translates to the ditch. The name itself hints at a dark and powerful story, one that is even mentioned in the Quran. This was once the site of a flourishing city, surrounded by formidable stone walls. Its ruins reveal a sophisticated settlement with palaces, temples, and a complex irrigation system that turned this part of the desert into a green, thriving haven. Inscriptions found here in the ancient South Arabian script speak of kings, battles, and trade. But Al-Ukhdud is most famous for a dramatic event that unfolded in the 6th century. At that time, Najran was a predominantly Christian kingdom, a beacon of its faith in the Arabian Peninsula. According to historical accounts, the Himyarite king Du-Nuwas, a convert to Judaism, invaded the city and demanded its Christian inhabitants renounce their faith. When they refused, he ordered a great trench to be dug, filled with fire, and cast them into the flames. This event, the martyrdom of the Christians of Najran, sent shockwaves across the ancient world, from Byzantium to Ethiopia. It became a powerful story of faith and persecution, immortalized in religious texts and historical chronicles. Walking through the ruins of Al-Ukhdud today, one can almost feel the weight of that history. The scorched stones and the remnants of the ancient city stand as a solemn memorial to those who held fast to their beliefs in the face of unimaginable horror. Najran's story is a crucial reminder of the religious diversity that existed in Arabia before the coming of Islam. It was a landscape of competing faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and various forms of Arab polytheism, all coexisting and clashing. The tale of Al-Ukhdud is a poignant chapter in this history, demonstrating that the peninsula has long been a stage for profound expressions of faith and the dramatic conflicts that can arise from them. It adds another vital, complex layer to our understanding of this ancient land. We turn our gaze westward to the shimmering coastline of the Red Sea and to a city that has for centuries been the gateway to Mecca. This is Jeddah, whose historical heart, known as Al-Balad, means simply the town. For more than 1,000 years, this was the primary port of arrival for seafaring pilgrims on their way to perform the Hajj, as well as a bustling hub for merchants trading goods from Africa, India, and beyond. Jeddah became known as the Bride of the Red Sea, a cosmopolitan melting pot of cultures, languages, and traditions. The very essence of Al-Balad is captured in its unique and beautiful architecture. The city's wealthy merchant families built magnificent tower houses, not from stone or mud brick, but from coral harvested from the Red Sea. This porous, lightweight material was ideal for the coastal climate. These buildings, some rising to 7 stories, are adorned with intricate wooden balconies and lattice screens known as roshan. These roshan are not merely decorative, they are a masterpiece of environmental design. The roshan provided shade from the intense sun, allowed the cool sea breezes to circulate through the homes, and offered the women of the household a private view of the bustling street life below. Walking through the narrow, winding alleys of Al-Balad is like stepping back in time. Each building tells a story of a family's wealth, their trade connections, and their deep connection to both the desert and the sea. The air is thick with the scent of spices and incense, a sensory echo of its mercantile past. For centuries, this was the first taste of Arabia for millions of pilgrims. After long and often perilous sea voyages, they would land here in this vibrant, bustling city. Al-Balad became a place of transition, where pilgrims from Indonesia, India, North Africa, and beyond would rest, trade, and prepare for the final overland leg of their journey to Mecca. The city absorbed their cultures, their foods, and their stories, creating a uniquely diverse and tolerant atmosphere that distinguishes Jeddah to this day. Today, Al-Balad is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and a massive restoration project is underway to preserve its fragile coral stone houses and revive its historic souks. It stands as a living museum, a testament to an era of global trade and pilgrimage that shaped the destiny of the entire Hijaz region. It is a reminder that Saudi Arabia's history is not only one of the desert interior, but also one of a deep and abiding connection to the wider world through its ancient sea lanes. We return now to the deserts of Al-Ula, to look more closely at the site that first placed Saudi Arabia on the global stage of ancient wonders. This is Hegra, known in Arabic as Madain Saleh. In 2008, it achieved the distinction of becoming the kingdom's very first UNESCO World Heritage Site, a recognition of its outstanding universal value. While we have touched upon its grandeur, its specific identity as a monumental necropolis, a city of the dead, deserves our focused attention. The Nabateans, who flourished here from the 1st century BCE to the 1st century CE, chose this site not for their homes, but for their eternal resting places. The residential city of Hegra was a more modest affair, built primarily of mud brick, and has mostly returned to the desert sands. But their tombs were built to last for eternity. They believed that the tomb was a house for the soul, and they lavished immense resources and artistry on creating fitting abodes for their afterlife. What makes Hegra so remarkable is the sheer artistry and the fusion of cultural influences visible on the tomb facades. As the Nabateans controlled the trade routes, they were exposed to the artistic styles of the great empires around them. One can see Egyptian, Hellenistic, Roman, and Mesopotamian elements, all brilliantly synthesized into a unique and distinctly Nabatean style. The stepped crenellations, the elegant pilasters, the eagles and sphinxes guarding the entrances, all speak of a sophisticated cosmopolitan people. Many of the tombs bear inscriptions above their entrances, carved in the Nabatean Aramaic script. These are not just names, they are legal documents in stone. They identify the owner, state who is permitted to be buried within, and often invoke curses upon any who might disturb or unlawfully sell the tomb. They provide a direct personal link to the people who built them, giving us names, professions, and family relationships, bridging the 2,000-year gap with startling clarity. To wander through Hegra is a profoundly moving experience. The scale is immense, the silence absolute, broken only by the whisper of the wind. It is a place that demands contemplation. Unlike the bustling spiritual centers of Mecca and Medina, Hegra is a monument to a civilization that has vanished, a faith that is no longer practiced. It stands as a powerful reminder, mentioned in the Quran as a cautionary tale of a people who were blessed with wealth and skill, but who ultimately faced divine retribution. Hegra is a silent, magnificent testament to both the heights of human achievement and the transient nature of all earthly power. Our path now leads us into the geographic and political heartland of the peninsula, the Najd region. This vast, arid plateau has long been known for its hardy people and its pivotal role in the history of Arabian state-building. We focus on two key areas, the Qasim region and the city of Riyadh. It was in these landscapes that the final decisive chapters of the unification of modern Saudi Arabia were written in the early 20th century, a story of daring raids, strategic battles, and unwavering resolve. The Qasim region, with its main cities of Buraida and Unaiza, was historically a wealthy agricultural and commercial hub. Its strategic location made it a prize coveted by competing powers in Arabia, primarily the Al Saud from the south and their rivals, the Al Rashid from the northern city of Ha'il. The struggle for control of Qasim was, in essence, the struggle for control of Central Arabia. A series of decisive battles took place here, turning the tide in favor of the young and ambitious Abdulaziz ibn Saud. The story of modern Saudi Arabia, however, begins with one of the most audacious events in modern history. In 1902, after years in exile, a young Abdulaziz ibn Saud led a small band of 40 loyal men on a daring night raid to recapture his ancestral city, Riyadh. Their target was the Mazmak fortress, a formidable citadel of mud and clay that served as the garrison for the Rashidi governor. This was a high-stakes gamble. Failure would have meant certain death and the end of his family's ambitions. The climax of the raid occurred at the fortress gates. A fierce, brief battle ensued, and Abdulaziz himself is said to have hurled a spear at the main door with such force that its head remains lodged in the woodwork to this day. The capture of Mazmak fortress was more than a military victory. It was a potent symbolic act. It signaled the return of the Al Saud to their homeland and ignited a 30-year campaign to unite the disparate regions of the peninsula into the kingdom we know today. Today, Mazmak Fortress stands peacefully in the heart of modern Riyadh, a city of gleaming skyscrapers and sprawling highways. It is a powerful symbol of the kingdom's origins, a tangible link to the rugged, determined spirit of its founders. Visiting the fortress and understanding the history of the unification wars in regions like Qasim is essential to grasping the narrative of the modern Saudi state, a story of reclaiming a birthright and forging a nation from the harsh, unforgiving crucible of the Najdi desert. We now journey east, to the warm, turquoise waters of the Persian Gulf, to an island that holds acclaim as one of the oldest continuously inhabited sites in the entire Arabian Peninsula. This is Tarout Island. Connected to the mainland city of Qatif by a causeway, this small island may not possess the monumental grandeur of Hegra or the global significance of Mecca, but its historical roots run exceptionally deep, connecting Arabia to the earliest cradles of civilization in Mesopotamia. Archaeological discoveries on Tarout have unearthed artifacts that date back more than 5,000 years, to the time of the ancient Dilmun civilization. Dilmun, often mentioned in Sumerian cuneiform texts, was a powerful trading empire that controlled the sea lanes of the Gulf. It was a vital link between the civilizations of Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, and the Indus Valley, which is now Pakistan and India. Tarout appears to have been a key settlement within this vast commercial network. The most famous artifact discovered here is the statue of a man praying, a small but exquisitely carved limestone figure from around 2500 BCE. This and other finds, including pottery, seals, and stone vessels, show clear artistic and cultural links to Mesopotamian and Elamite civilizations. This evidence paints a picture of Tarout not as an isolated backwater, but as a cosmopolitan hub in the Bronze Age, a place where goods, ideas, and cultures from across the ancient world met and mingled. The heart of the island's more recent history is Tarout Castle, an imposing fortress that stands on a hill in the center of the island. While the current structure dates to the 16th century, it was built upon the foundations of much older settlements, a tale that contains layers of history stretching back for millennia. The castle itself is a reminder of a later period of trade, piracy, and conflict, as Portuguese and Ottoman forces vied for control of the lucrative Gulf trade routes. Tarout Island, therefore, offers a different but equally vital perspective on Saudi Arabia's history. It underscores the immense time depth of human settlement in the region and highlights the eastern province's long-standing role as a bridge to the wider world. It is a quiet testament to the enduring human impulse to settle, trade, and build communities. A story that has been unfolding on this small patch of land for over 50 centuries, long before many of the world's more famous ancient sites had even been conceived. For our final destination, we ascend from the coastal plains and desert heartlands into the cool, verdant heights of the Sarawat Mountains. This is Taif, a city that has long served as the unofficial summer capital of Saudi Arabia. Its pleasant climate, a stark contrast to the searing heat of Jeddah and Riyadh, has made it a favored retreat for centuries. But its significance is far more than climatic. Taif has a rich history that is deeply interwoven with the story of Islam and the formation of the kingdom. In pre-Islamic times, Taif was a major religious center, home to a temple dedicated to the goddess Alat. It was also a rival city to Mecca, and its powerful tribe, the Banu Thaqif, were initially hostile to the Prophet Muhammad's message. An early, poignant episode in the Prophet's life involves his journey to Taif to seek support, only to be rejected and driven out of the city by its inhabitants. This event makes Taif's eventual embrace of Islam all the more significant. After the unification of the kingdom, Taif's role as a summer retreat was formalized. The royal family and government ministries would relocate here during the hottest months of the year, conducting the nation's affairs from the city's cooler climes. This tradition cemented Taif's importance and led to the construction of magnificent palaces and government buildings. The most famous of these is the Shubra Palace, a beautiful building that blends traditional Hijazi and Romanesque architectural styles. The Shubra Palace is now a museum, and it holds a special place in modern Saudi history. It was within these walls that King Abdulaziz, the founder of the modern kingdom, often resided. More importantly, it was here that some of the first cabinet meetings were held, and it served as the office of King Faisal for a period. The palace is a window into the lifestyle of the early Saudi monarchy and the nascent state they were building, filled with artifacts from that foundational era. From its pre-Islamic past and its complex relationship with early Islam to its role as the cool, administrative heart of the modern state, Taif offers a unique perspective. It is a city of gardens, famous for its roses and fruits, a place where political history was made amidst a landscape of mountain beauty. It represents another facet of the kingdom's diverse identity, a place of retreat, diplomacy, and historical depth, perched high above the hot plains where so much of our journey has taken place. Our journey through the historical landscapes of Saudi Arabia comes to a close, but the stories these sites tell will resonate long after. We have journeyed from the spiritual epicenter of the Islamic world in Mecca to the silent pre-Islamic tombs of Hegra, from the mud brick cradle of the Saudi state in Diriyah to the ancient Christian kingdom of Najran. We have seen that this nation, often viewed through the single lens of modernity and oil wealth, is in fact a land of profound historical layers, immense spiritual significance, and a cultural heritage of astonishing depth and diversity. These sites are far more than tourist attractions. They are the bedrock of identity for a vast portion of the world's population. To understand the Prophet's mosque in Medina or the historical pact made at Diriyah is to begin to understand the very roots of the Islamic faith and the Arab world. These places are the well springs of a civilization, holding the keys to the cultural, political, and spiritual forces that have shaped not only this peninsula, but have radiated outwards to influence the entire globe for centuries. Their preservation and study are vital for a complete understanding of our shared human story. I urge you, therefore, to look beyond the headlines and the gleaming skylines. I encourage you to explore, whether in person or through learning, the rich, complex, and often surprising history that is etched into the sands, mountains, and coastlines of this incredible land. For in the silent majesty of Madain Saleh, the bustling reverence of Mecca, and the quiet dignity of Al-Balad's coral houses, we find a narrative that is epic in its scope and deeply human in its detail. This is the other side of Saudi Arabia, a heritage that belongs not just to its people, but to the world.
Ready for a history adventure? Join our community. Subscribe to World History, smash that like, share with friends, and drop your thoughts below. Let's make history together. See you in the comments.